Hi, and welcome. In this video, I would like to explain why I love Destiny, but also why it pains me to play it right now. I will work in ascending order, so I'll start with the Whisper and Zero Hour, the two missions tied to the exotic weapons Whisper the Worm and Outbreak Perfected, respectively. These missions were fantastic fun. They had soft mechanics and short jumping puzzles with some fairly simple mental puzzles to solve. These missions were obviously a labour of love for the team that devised them, and it showed. These missions were a bitch to complete on your first attempt. However, with time and experience they became easier. Now just because they were easier doesn't mean they got boring. The easier they got, the more time you had to look around and appreciate the work the devs put into them. They were truly welcome additions to the game, and will be sorely missed. Next, I'd like to talk about the dungeons. Shattered Throne, Pit of Heresy and Prophecy. What started out as an ingenious way of realising some lore in-game and adding a pinnacle activity for Fireteam of 3 has now become one of the game's most anticipated activities. A mini raid. They have all the attributes a raid can offer, except at a more accessible level. I believe the dungeons have kept getting better with each release. They are fantastic environments to move through, and Bungie needs to be applauded for their work on them. A truly pinnacle activity. Moving on now to the big one, the raids. Full raids, I mean. Something Destiny has become synonymous with. Vault of Glass, Crota's End, King's Fall, Wrath of the Machine, Leviathan, Last Wish, Garden of Salvation, Deepstone Crypt. Even listing them out reminds me of some of my fondest memories I have ever had in any game. Genuinely fantastic content. From their unique design aesthetics to their mechanical complexities, they are a joy to participate in. They are activities other developers should be jealous of. Next on my list is the environments. Not just the environments in the raids or dungeons or missions, but all of them. I guess the best example of this are the social spaces. Usually just used to get from A to B. Take a look around next time you're in one. Not just in front of you, but up and down and left and right. There is so much detail that, for the most part, gets ignored. Each planet has its own distinctive style, and within each planet you have different areas, each with their own distinctive style. Each environment, from patrol to raid, is beautiful and immersive, with a special shout out to whoever designs the skyboxes. Up next is gunplay. The depth and variety in the loot pool makes gunplay interesting, with a build catered to every situation and every playstyle. Shooting your weapon feels smooth and crisp and satisfying. I don't really know what else to say. It's just one of those things that you take for granted until you play a different shooter and realise this doesn't feel quite as good as Destiny. Finally, I come to the main reason I play Destiny. Its lore. I love the story of the Traveller, also its mysteries. I love the intricacies of the enemy races and the reasons they are fighting us. I love the characters and all their relative and sometimes intertwined histories. All of this adds a depth to the game that resembles some of the greatest fantasy novelists of our time. Our actions in game feel consequential as a result, and that adds a weight and meaning to what we do. A good example of this that has played out in front of us is Mithrax, a fallen captain we first encounter in a mission called Chances and Choices. At the end of the mission, we see a fallen captain fighting a Hive Knight. We are then faced with a choice: kill them both, or just kill the knight. If we chose the latter, the captain turns and thanks us. Then that same captain tips us off about an Elixni house trying to steal Siva from the vault of the tower. And that leads us to the Zero Hour mission. And at the end of that mission, he meets us again, but this time as our ally. It's details like this that keep me invested in the game. Without Destiny's lore, it's a good game, but with the lore and all its depth, Destiny is a great game. Unfortunately, and I have to move on to why Destiny 2 is a nightmare right now. I alluded to it in my previous video, but here I'll go into greater depth. I'm talking about the grind for numbers. Grinding for power levels is all we really have as endgame goals right now. And even then, most people are high enough to do it every in-game activity already, and we're only 3 or 4 weeks in. Content creators haven't helped with this problem, with every other channel giving guides on how to level up fast. But content creators can't be blamed for this. Ultimately, they need to be on the crest of the wave because waiting is death in YouTube. The power level grind is so bad because the process of increasing your number is repetitive and, once you're at a certain level, pointless to go any higher. If Bungie wants us to grind for power levels, they need to do two things. Make our power level mean something and give us different and evolving ways to increase it. I know we get a new thing to do every season, but it's really just the same activity wrapped differently. Also, season activities don't really progress us in power level terms. That usually falls on core content, like strikes and crucible and gambit, raid or dungeons even. Over the course of a few months, this then becomes stale, even if there is a new strike or crucible map added every so often. So if we have to have repetitive activities to do, we need to change the goal. That goal should be loot. Grinding an activity or a variation of the same activity for new and interesting loot is engaging. Borderlands 2 proves that. Every legendary gun had the same process to farm, yet it was fun. So we either need interesting, evolving processes for a boring goal, or boring processes for an interesting goal. At the moment, Destiny 2 offers the worst of both scenarios. That leads me to believe that Bungie is putting too much pressure on themselves, trying to bring out new content every 3 months. It feels very much like quantity over quality at the moment. And I think that Destiny 2 needs quality, more than ever. Maybe saving content drops to every 6 months and giving us something to do every month to keep the player base engaged is something they could do. But I don't really have an answer to that question. But if it carries on the way we are, Bungie will lose a lot of its loyal players. I want Destiny 2 to be the only game I ever want to play, and it genuinely could be. Right now, however, I feel it's drifting apart, and that saddens me more than you could know. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. I think I've rambled enough. Thank you for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Are you finding Destiny 2 a nightmare? Are you drifting away from it like I am? Or are you loving it and just want to continue playing? Comment down below and let's continue the conversation there. Thanks again. Bye bye.